All right, guys. Week 3 already. Wow. This year's flying by. We only got 49 weeks left until 2025. It's like once you pass the age of 30, I don't know. It's like you get on a time acceleration machine or something. I don't know. But anyways, welcome back. So last week we discussed, high income and why it's important, right? Understanding why you need a high income, in order to be able to invest, in order to be able to retire yourself. And so today we want to discuss, what is high income? We already explained why it's important, but what really is high income? And so we really want to dive into that. Promise you all, going to get better at these videos. As you can see, it's still a little wobbly right now, but again, I don't know if you saw my first video, but this year I decided to start making these videos on a weekly basis. Maybe we'll get up to 2, but the goal right now is to just be consistent with making 1 video a week, right? So it's been 36 years, haven't made a video a week. So if we do 52 videos this year, that will be quite the accomplishment, no matter how many subscribers, no matter how many likes, dislikes, comments, etc., etc. With that said, obviously, after a couple of months, getting the rhythm down, getting the routine down, we'll start investing in equipment and getting, the stands and holders and all that. But right now, this is all about action, right? Just actually doing the work, putting this content out, and then from there, we can start getting the sexy equipment and making the videos look a little better, or a little cooler, right? But for now, it's all about just putting out the content, getting those reps in, and making sure that we're actually taking action, right? Rather than waiting on the perfect scenario, perfect setup, all right? But with that said, we'll definitely get on a better schedule as far as filming the videos, but I think I'm still going to stick to putting these videos out on Sundays. Appreciate it if you did. Give me feedbacks, thumbs up, thumbs down, what you like, what you don't like. Would love to hear. I see a few of you are already watching the videos. I appreciate that, especially my first viewers. I expect this channel to grow over the coming months, weeks, years. But really appreciate you first few viewers, and would love to hear your comments, really, on what you think. So with that, let's jump right in. So high income, again, like we said, we talked last week about why it's important, but what actually is high income? Now, let me start this off with, this is all my opinion. And with that said, let me dive in a little bit to who this channel is for and who is not. So this channel is not this channel is not for those of you that are just looking to get by, right? This is not, I just want to pay my bills, I just want to pay my house off, pay my car off, pay my student loans off, pay my credit cards off, have a little bit of money at the end of the month, and go on vacation once a year. This is not that channel. That's not who my intended audience is. This channel is for those of you that want to live the 1% life. This is for those of you that go, I want a house here and I want a house there. I want this car and that car and that car. You know what? For my wife, because, granted, I'm just a man, right? Like, hey, for my wife, I want her to have this bag, and that bag. I don't want her to have to choose. I just want her to have all 3, right? For the family, when we go on vacation, ideally we go on vacation 3, 4, 5 times a year for a week at a time. We don't stay at the Days Inn, right? We don't stay at the Holiday Inn, right? We go to the Four Seasons, or we get a nice Airbnb, right? We don't get the cheapest rental car possible. We get a luxury rental car, right? Something that we would actually buy or that we're considering buying. We get that, right? When we fly, especially if it's more than a couple hours, we fly first class, right? And we don't whine about how much it costs. When we go out to eat, we don't go to the buffet because it's cheap. We don't go to Golden Corral or Ryan's Buffet, right? Or Piccadilly. Well, and granted, it's not a buffet, but you know what I'm saying, right? You go to the nice steakhouse, you go to the nice fish house because you want fresh caught food. You want grass-fed beef, etc., etc. So this is for those of you that would like to have 6 figures in the bank. Multiple 6 figures in the bank, right? So that's who this is for, right? So if you just like, yo, I'm just trying to get out of debt, my man. I'm just trying to survive, whatever. You got Dave Ramsey, you got, Graham Stephan, And there's a host of other, I think Susie Ortman is another one. There's a host of other channels that you can go to that have the, well, in my opinion, what I would call it, just getting by. You know, the survival methodology of life, basically, right? Because you get to choose, you get to decide for most, especially if you live in America, right? You get to decide more or less whether you believe it or not. You get to decide how much you want to make, and it may not be instant, right? You know, if you're making $2 a day, nobody does that in America. But let's say you're making $15 an hour, and you decide you want to earn $1 million tomorrow. Well, you might be able to decide that, but it's not going to show up tomorrow, right? You got to put in the work. You got to become a different person. But anyway, point is, this is for those of you that want to live well above survival, right? You're not just trying to keep your head above water, right? Just trying to maintain. You actually want to thrive, right? You want to excel. You want to live an exceptional life, right? So this is who this is for. The other caveat I want to make is, these are my opinions, and based on my life experiences, right? And the people that I have interacted with. So this is not the gospel according to Isaac, right? This is my experience. These are my opinions, and it's my channel, so I can share it, right? But I will go say that this is not fact, right? So don't go and say, oh my gosh, because Isaac said this, and I don't think I have that much authority yet. You know, I don't think y'all follow me and hanging on to my every word like that just yet, right? But there will come a time where that will be the case. But for now, you know, just take it as a grain of salt, as a guide, right? That's what this is, okay? So now with that, all that out the way, let's jump into geographical location, all right? So when we discuss high income, we do have to account for where you live. If you live in Manhattan, you live in LA, you live in Brickell City in Miami, right? You live in some of the premier neighborhoods of Houston, right? Or even Chicago or Silicon Valley, right? You are going to have a different perception of high income than, let's say, somebody that's raised like where I'm from, like South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Rural South Georgia. Or you're talking about Starksville, Mississippi. You know, one of the poorest states in America, right? A high income in Mississippi is gonna give you a completely different lifestyle than what you would get in Miami, Florida, right? Or Salt Lake City, Utah, right? Or Denver, Colorado, right? Or Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, right? So the first thing I want to mention is, if you live in small town, Cowtown, USA, then high income for you may still be $100,000 a year. Maybe. I would say minimum high income in those areas would be $150,000 a year, right? So if you live in Cowtown, USA, and you know what that means, right? There's no Nordstrom's nearby. There's no Neiman Marcus. There's no Lamborghini dealership, you know, within a 30-minute drive, right? There's no Porsche dealership, right? There's no Ferrari. Okay, there's no Ruth Chris Steakhouse in your city, right? You may or may not have Starbucks. There's definitely not any Whole Foods markets, right? All of these retailers that target areas of prosperity, i.e. economic prosperity, you don't have those things there, then that's small town USA. So there, I would say $150,000 a year, you should probably start considering that high income. And I'm saying these are minimum numbers, right? Not max, minimum, okay? Now, if you live in any of the big cities that I just mentioned, LA, New York City, Miami, then high income really is going to be anywhere from 200 to 300K a year. Minimum 200 to 300K a year. Why do I say that? How can I say that? And I can hear some of the, I'm not even going to say haters. I'm going to say some of the objections that may come up in your mind or that some people might present. I'm going to say, oh, how could you say 200-300K? Do you know the percentage of people that make that? Blah, 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 blah. That's the top 10%, 1%. Again, this channel is not for those people that just want to be average, right? We're not talking about being average, okay? Average just comes natural. You just do it and you're average. You just get a job and you're average, all right? So this is the people that want to be above average. This is people that want to be in the 1% or in the top 2 or 5%, right? That want to get there and that want to be in the top 10% in their field and earn the most that they can, okay? So that's who we're focusing on. We're not focusing on averages, right? All right, so with that said, 200 to 300K in these big cities. Okay, so when I talk about high income, why do I say that that is a bare minimum is 200 to 300K per year? Well, if you break that down, let's do the math on that. 200 to 300, let's see, that's times 12. 12 is 44. Man, I need a calculator right now. So 20 times 12, yeah, okay. So 20 grand a month puts you at almost a quarter mil, right? 20 grand a month. And then 30 grand is going to put you at 360. So, and then at 25, you're going to split the difference. So, man, my math is failing me right now. But yeah, you got a quarter mil at, at 20,000, you got $240,000. Granted, I'm doing this all in my head. At 20,000 a month, you got $240,000 a year. And then at 25 grand, then that puts you at $300,000. So you're talking about 20 to 25 grand a month to make 240 to 300K for the year. And I'm not going to go lower to 200 just because, you know, that math and just this time of night is going to have my scratch in my head, and you guys can do that math on your own if you really need it, right? Okay, so now we're talking about a quarter mil to 300,000, $20,000 to $25,000 a month. All right. So now, if you are living in these big cities that I mentioned, and you want even, I would say, just a nice apartment that's at least 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, minimum 1,300 square feet with a 1-car garage, you know, or that's gated with a gated protected parking area, right? With services like that, you're gonna be spending at least $3,000 to $4,000 a month, at least. And then if you talk about some of these really upscale, like downtown condos in Chicago, Manhattan, and Brickell, Houston, Dallas, you're talking about upwards of $5-6 grand a month, realistically speaking, for luxury, right? And again, luxury, meaning you're not in an undesirable area, meaning you're in the area where people in that city, if they go, hey, where's a luxury, where's a nice part of town, your area, this is what we're talking about, right? This is where the movers and shakers are going to come and stay. People that already are well-to-do, this is where they're going to come stay, right? So you're talking about at least $5 to $7 grand a month, realistically, for luxury apartment, luxury home, right? Now, again, if you live in small town USA, these are really inflated numbers, right? You're not going to need $5 grand a month for your housing expenses if you live in the middle of Kansas or Montana or South Dakota, right? But again, we're talking about the big cities, right? Because a lot more high income earners live in big cities than in small town USA. That's not to say that you can't make the big money and live in small town USA, but there's just a higher concentration of high income earners in big cities. Why? Because there's just more economic opportunity, right? Period. That's just how it goes. There's more people, there's more money flowing, right? If you only got 10 people in your town to sell to, it's a little bit harder to make $1 million than if you got 1 million people in your town to sell to, right? It's just a little bit more opportunity, there's a little bit more money flowing around. It's just basic numbers, finance, economics that you just can't get around, right? So anyways, with that, your basic living expense, you're already talking about $5 to $7 grand a month, right? For luxury. Again, I emphasize luxury because we're not talking about survival. I know you can go over yonder, or you can go over here, you can go way over there and get you little 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartment, whatever, you know, and they only charging you whatever, and then you can get your little roommate. And again, this is not for those people. This is for people that want to live above average, right? We don't want roommates. Even if you're a single man, you're a single woman, no roommates. Now, I'm not counting your boyfriend and your girlfriend and your husband and your wife. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about you don't want a friend, someone that you're not looking to potentially spend your life with, i.e. boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, or husband, somebody you're not looking to spend your life with, that you just have them there because you all are trying to, split the rent. Now, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you as a single person or as a married person. This is your crib, period. No matter how small, how big it is, it's nice, it's luxury. You got an extra couple bedrooms in there. You got an office in there that you can work. You got a place that's safe that you can park your vehicle, maybe a couple of parking spots. You got some nice furniture in here that's less than 5 years old, right? It's relatively new. It's nice. You didn't just go to IKEA, and that's not to say that IKEA doesn't have any nice furniture, but you didn't necessarily go and get the cheapest stuff you can get. You went and got quality that you like. And if it is IKEA or Amazon, that's not a bad thing. But I'm just saying you didn't shop solely on price, right? You didn't go and say, hey, how can I find the cheapest furniture, right? So again, luxury, $5 to $7 grand a month is what it's gonna take, right, to have that. Now, we'll talk about food. And again, subjective, which is just my opinions, my experience. But food, as you decide that you want to become this higher achiever in life, you want to live above the status quo or above average, that means, well, it doesn't mean that you have to, but you should. You should try to put the best fuel into your body, because food is fuel, right? So the example is, would you put regular gas in a Lamborghini? We all know, no. If you have a racehorse and, man, I'm sitting here in this parking lot, this truck's bumping his horn, see? That's why I gotta plan these videos a little better. But anyways, back to let's stick on topic. A racehorse, going to put him in the Kentucky Derby, try to win the crown. I don't know as much about horse racing, but the thing is, you're gonna give him, that horse, the best food possible. You're not gonna give it junk food, right? You're gonna give it the best food possible. So us, how much more valuable and important are we, especially, well, one, just because it's our life, period, but two, as we're trying to use this body, this vessel, as a means to earn millions of dollars or multiple millions of dollars or hundreds of millions, right? We need to make sure that we feed this vessel, this thoroughbred horse, this Lamborghini that is us, the best food possible. So with that, that means we can't go to Piggly Wiggly and try to buy the cheapest meat that's on sale that's about to expire tomorrow for half price. We can't go to Kroger, Save-On, and clip coupons, or Buy Low if it still exists, or Albertsons, and try to get the cheapest meat possible. That life's out. We're going direct to the source. We're going straight to the farm, or we're going to Whole Foods, or we're going to whatever grocery store that we trust that's going to give us the grass-fed beef, that's going to give us the fresh caught fish, right? And if you live in an area where that's not possible, then the quickest delivery system possible, right? Hey, it was caught yesterday. It takes 24 hours to fly it here, but this was caught yesterday. Now it's in, middle USA, right? Middletown, USA, or, the Midwest, wherever you are. You don't have any, ocean nearby. But hey, this is less than 24-hour old, fresh caught, right? So with that said, and then also you look at trying to source, I would say, like farmers markets, right? Typically farmer markets is going to be a little more expensive, right? Because it's locally grown, right? And they're not selling at wholesale prices, right? So your grocery store can get a better price for different items because they're buying it in bulk, right? So they're buying wholesale, but you're buying direct from the farm. So there's got to be a little more upcharge, a little more premium because they got to make a profit, right? But you know this is locally grown. This is grown down the street. You can go look and see what they're doing, what their processes is, right? Whether they're using pesticides and stuff that you don't agree with, et cetera, right? How they're raising their livestock, or, you know, how they're watering, you know, how the runoff is, all whatever it is, you can have a much better idea of the process of the food when you go to the farmers market, especially if you shop with local farmers, right? Or you go straight to the ranch and buy from the local ranch store, then you really know where your food is sourced from, right? So that's what we're talking about when we say that, right? So when you start looking at those prices for, let's say, just a family of 2 or 3, you're talking a couple of grand a month when you really break it down, right? So now, again, I'm talking, you're buying grass-fed beef, you're buying fresh caught fish, right? You're buying naturally hunted game, right? So if you're getting venison, right, this is fresh hunted venison, right? Wild caught boars, pigs, right? And then on top of that, you go into the farmer's market, you're getting freshly grown food that's in season, right? Because you guys do recognize that strawberries are not in season year round. Actually, no fruit for the most part is in season year round, right? There's a growing season, there's a harvest season, but somehow we have every fruit available year round. You got to understand there's some pesticides, there's some preservatives, or there's some, you know, being played on a molecular level to have all of that. Because you think of something like eggnog, for example. When is eggnog available? At a certain time of the year, right? Because it's not naturally available all throughout the year. It's only a certain time of year, right? Because it's a natural process. So it's the same thing with fruits, right? There's a time for it to grow and be harvested. Anyways, trying to, you know, not go too far on a tangent here, but the point is, you really, if you want to live this high achieving lifestyle, and you need this high income, but what I'm breaking down is the reason why you also need these high income, and why I'm saying 200 to 300K is the minimum, is when you look at, again, the luxury housing, but now we're talking about the food, being able to get that higher quality food that you know where it's sourced from. That's going to cost more money than if you just went, like I said, to Winn-Dixie and got the cheapest meat possible, right? So that's another thing. And then also where you dine out at, right? So as you pay more attention to your body, as you pay more attention to your health, especially as you're trying to earn more and you appreciate your time and your body more, then things like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, all these fast food places, you're essentially going to start cutting them out, or you're drastically going to reduce your frequency of consuming those products. There are some people that would go so far to say, if you eat McDonald's, you don't love yourself. I would venture to say that I'm pretty much in that camp, right? You eat anything from these fast food places on a regular basis, it's like, it's in the name, junk food, junk, right? So, you just gotta say goodbye. You know what I'm saying? Like, let that stuff go. I mean, man, how far do I want to go with this? Like, man, I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes, but I would just tell you that if you do your research and you talk about cancer, which has affected a lot of people, myself included, a lot of it has to do with your cellular makeup and composition of your body, basically the alkaline, the healthiness of your body, right? And so if you do your research, you will find that a lot of the foods that we consume on a regular basis is cancer causing. So a lot of the foods or a lot of the cancers could be eliminated with just the change of a diet. And I won't get too deep, but I will say if you just do your own research and dig just a little bit below the surface, right, of the internet and of social media, then you will find that there are doctors overseas that have been kicked out of the U.S. or are under heavy attack in the U.S. because they've cured cancer patients that are stage 4 that were went to their regular doctor, went to the regular hospital, and were told, hey, say your goodbyes, it's over, it's a wrap. And out of just sheer desperation, right? Because when you think you're about to die, I mean, you'll try anything, right? Especially if the doctors told you it's over. That if anybody is out there saying, you know, hey, I got a remedy for you, you give it a shot. Because, I mean, what the heck? The doctor's already told you he can do everything he's done for you. It's over. So what does it hurt to try something else? Maybe it might work. But if it doesn't, you already think you're about to die in 2 weeks anyway. So what does it matter, right? So it doesn't hurt to try. But there's been a lot of people that have been stage 4 cancer and have made a full recovery with a change in their diet, drastic change in their diet. Look this stuff up. There's books out there that you can buy where they give you fasting, juices, all these things regarding food and how your body, you can sustain your health and live a longer, healthier life with changing your diet. But again, you can't be buying the cheapest. I don't even know. I mean, I ain't been to McDonald's in so long. I mean, back in my day, it was a $1 menu. I don't know. It's probably like a $5, $10 menu now. But back then, it was a 99-cent. It was a $1 menu, right? So you can go to McDonald's, get your double cheeseburger for $1.07 after you pay taxes, right? Just with the taxes included, right? When I was in high school, you could get a $1 cheeseburger. So, anyways, to get the higher quality food, you're gonna be spending about $1,000, $2,000 a month. Again, you're no longer going to Taco Bell. You're not going to Golden Corral buffet for dinner, right? You're going to Ruth Chris. You're going to Morton's. You're going to Steak 48, right? You're going to what's the fish house that everybody loves, or the Asian sushi? I can't think of it. It slips my mind. But anyway, you're going to the Asian cuisine, like Nobu. That's the one I was thinking about. Nobu, right? So you're going to places that source their foods, right? And they let you know, hey, we don't get the cheapest quality beef. We don't get the cheapest quality meat. We don't get the cheapest quality whatever. We source and try to get the best quality available on the market to serve you, right? And then also we give you an experience when we serve you, right? So it's the whole thing. So again, if you go to, I don't know what a cheap steakhouse is, Longhorns, yeah. So if you go to Longhorns, you might spend $30, $40, but you're not getting the same experience if you like eat at Steak 48 or Ruth Chris or Morton's, right? It's a totally different experience, totally different quality of steak, totally different taste, right? So, you're aiming to enjoy life. So those experiences are going to cost more again. So that's why we start talking that $200-300 or that 20 to 25K a month, right? So now we got the 5 to 7 for the housing. Now we're adding another 2 for food, right? So now you can see now we're already at 8,000-9,000, and we just got food and nice housing, right? Now let's talk about transportation again. We're not talking about average. We're not talking about, oh, well, you can just get your little Honda Civic. My brother got, you know, a little Toyota Camry that's a stick shift, and, you know, my friend's a mechanic, or I know how to work on it, and I got 200,000 miles, and I can get another 100,000 miles, and all I had to do was change the battery and change the oil and change the belts, and, you know, we good to go, and change the air filter and oil filter, and, oh, that thing dropped. No. Nothing wrong with that if that's what you want, but that's not who I'm talking to, right? You're wanting to experience life at a high level. So you're no longer looking for the cheapest car or the most fuel efficient car. You're looking for a luxurious experience. You're looking for a Mercedes-Benz, a BMW, an Audi, a Genesis, right? A Bentley, right? A Rolls Royce, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, right? You're not looking for an Impala or a Civic, right? Now, I've driven these cars, some of them that I named, but I can tell you, Honda Civic is okay. It's cool. Honda Accord is cool, right? Chevy Impala, it's cool. I don't even think they make Impalas anymore. Now, I think they just got a Malibu, whatever. But it's not the same as a Genesis. It's not the same as a Mercedes E-Class, right? And even the CLA Mercedes, that ain't, I don't know why they, I mean, I do know why they did it, but I just don't agree with that decision because it's just such a cheap car. It don't even really belong on a Mercedes show floor, because if you sit inside a E350 Benz and then you go sit in the CLA, just sit in it. You ain't even got to drive it. Just sit in it. You will automatically know the difference. Like, especially if you sit in the back seat too. Like, sit in the back seat of an E-Class Benz and then go sit in the CLA. Guys, I'm 5'9". In the back seat of a CLA, my head is up against the ceiling. I'm 5'9", guys. I'm not some tall NBA player. All right, I'm 5'9". I've never had my head bump up against the roof of any car except for the Mercedes CLA, right? So it's just super cheap. Again, you want a luxury vehicle, you're probably going to be spending about a G a month. You're going to be somewhere around the 60 to 80K price point at the minimum. And when you're looking at 4 or 5 years, 48, 60, 72 month payments, you're going to be somewhere around that $1,000 to $1,500 a month to a car payment. Plus you got to have insurance. Plus you got to put gas in every week, right? So you're talking at least a G to $1,500. Again, I know you can go down to the auction, get your little car for $1,000, have your brother fix it up, and you can drive it for 200,000 miles, and you just keep a wrench and a screwdriver in your hip pocket and a pair of pliers in the trunk just in case something pop off. You can go in there and tinker with it real quick, tink, 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 and then you back on the road again, driving another 30, 40,000 miles. I know, but that's not who this is for, right? We're talking high income. What is it, and why do we say those numbers, right? So why am I saying $200,000-$300,000, and why am I saying that that's high income? Because again, you live in a certain lifestyle. We're not in this for average. We're above average, right? So I'm keep pounding that in because a lot of times people say that they want to earn a high income. People say that they want to live this luxurious lifestyle. People say, or rather people sing the song, I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad, right? Buy all the stuff I never had, whatever the lyrics is, right? Everybody sing along, but when it really comes down to putting down the numbers and getting the cold hard truth, that's where the emotions come out, and that's really when you really got to deal with yourself and what your internal beliefs are around money. And then that's where the 200-300K, that's where you really got to go, okay, now, 20, 25 grand a month, that's way more than what I thought. I was making 7, 8 grand a month, and I was, I had my head up, and, I had my nose sticking out, and I was looking down on my folks because they still ain't, they ain't got no degree, and they making $15 an hour, and I'm making 8 grand a month, and I think, I'm hot stuff. And it's like, bro, you're not even high income yet. You're not even entry level high income, right? So when I break down these numbers and I break down this lifestyle to you for a reason, it's like, hey, this is what the lifestyle looks like. This is what it actually costs, right? If you're not going to be pinching pennies, right? If you're not trying to, be the millionaire next door, right? Which is boring because the billionaire next, well, it could even be a billionaire. The billionaire next door lives just like middle class or even below middle class, clips coupons, right? Does everything cheap, right? Has very low quality experiences because they're just trying to save, pinch. And then one day they got $1 million in the bank, or they got, $1 million net worth in their home because it's finally paid off. And, they got a car that's got 500,000 miles on it because they bought it in 1970 and they haven't bought a new car since, and they ain't been on one vacation, right? Like, that's not the lifestyle that we trying to live. Which is why, again, we got to have that high income, and why we setting these numbers as a minimum. So I'm going over these prices and these numbers so that you can start to see what it really costs, right? And why high income, why we have that minimum 200 to 300K. Because when you start looking at these numbers, you start going like, oh, wow, you're right. It do cost 5 to 7 to actually have a nice luxurious apartment or a luxury home in a very nice neighborhood, right? It do cost a G, $12, $13, $14, $1,500 a month to have a nice Benz, a nice Audi, right? or a couple of cars, right? You might be talking 2-3K a month. If you're talking about you're going to have a couple of these 60, 70, 80K cars that you driving, luxury cars, right? You know, you're talking about a G, 2Gs a month, especially if you're going to, again, go out to eat at the nice steakhouse or 5-star restaurants, to higher echelon food establishments in your city. And on top of that, you're sourcing organic food. You're sourcing, well, basically just sourcing your food, period, right? So that you know where it's coming from, and you're just not buying it. And it, you know, you buying oranges from Brazil and you live in Florida. Like, bro, Florida has oranges. There's orange groves all over. So why aren't you buying Florida oranges? Why are you buying oranges from Korea, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, buy what's in your area. Buy what grows in your area as much as you can, right? So again, we just covered housing. We covered food. Also, we covered transportation. Right now, let's talk about vacations. My favorite, right? We all say we want to travel. I'm not sure that I've met a person. I mean, there's a few, but most people, if they're being honest, they would like to travel. They got some places they want to see. They got some things they want to do outside of their hometown. Most people, right? And there's ways to travel, guys. Again, there's so many ways to do this. And again, I'm not talking about the cheap stuff, because on the low end, you can jump on a Greyhound bus. I don't think most people think of that as an option, but 50 years ago, that was the norm. You jumped on a Greyhound bus, or you got on an Amtrak train. Like, flying was for rich people. Like, my father, growing up, first of all, they didn't even travel. That wasn't even a thing, right? For them, going to town to shop was quite the accomplishment, right? Just literally going to town to shop. So let alone trying to go state to state or city to city, right? So if you was going to do that, the bus was just the only way you was going, was the bus, right? Or, you know, you got your rinky-dink car and you would take 301 up and down the East Coast because you just never know when your car broke down. If your car broke down, you wanted to be close to the nearest town. You couldn't afford to go on 95 and, you know, you see a sign, no stop for the next 60 miles. You was like, bro, you out of luck. You out in there, you know, in no man's land. So you'd have to take these little highways where there's always a town, you know, within a couple of miles you can push your car to, get some help if it broke down on you, right? So on the low end, again, Greyhounds still, I think they're still around, or whatever the bus company is nowadays. They're still around, right? Train. But again, we're talking about above average. So now, you're going to fly, my recommendation, anything greater than 3 hours, you should start looking at business class. You should start looking at first class. It's a totally different experience, I'm telling you, especially on the longer flights. The shorter flights, it doesn't matter as much. You got smaller planes. They don't really have a true first class. I mean, you just got a single seat to yourself, a window, and you get to sit first. But on these longer flights, when they got the lay flat seats where it's literally a bed, where they give you an iPad tablet, right? And your own nice set of headphones, right? They feed you a full service meal made by a chef. They give you unlimited alcohol, sodas, drinks, juice, right? And they give you dessert. And you got way more movies, free songs, all that stuff. And when I say free, it's included in the cost of your ticket. It's just that they don't charge you on the back end, right? So whereas when you get economy class, you get a little cheap ticket, but then you got to pay for your check-in bag. You got to pay for Wi-Fi. You got to pay for the movie. You got to pay for food. You got to pay for this, that. First class, you don't have to pay for none of that, right? So you're just able to roll right in. And for one, like your check-in bags, most companies with your check-in bag, you have 100 pounds included. And then also you have 2 check-in bags per person. So a lot of places you can either get 75 pounds or 100 pounds of free, again, like I say, you already paid with the ticket, but, you know, free check-in of your luggage, right? You know, carry on all that, get the board first. And then again, just the service. The service is just, man, I could do a whole video just on the difference between first class and economy, especially on the long flights. You know, living in Hawaii, flying back and forth to the continental U.S., I'm telling you, it's a night and day difference between first class and economy. It's not even funny. It's a whole nother world when the pilot comes through the section, looks you in the eye, thanks you for flying with them, right? I guess you call them stewardess, right? Or flight attendant, whatever. Or maybe there's synonymous, interchangeable names. But they know you on a first name basis. And it's not because I fly so much, it's just that, I'm in first class and, I've done the register online. So they've looked up and, hey, Mr. James, we just want to confirm, or hey, Isaac, we just want to confirm that you ordered the filet mignon or you ordered the salmon, blah, blah, blah. Is that still what you desire? You want to change your, your menu selection, etc., blah, 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 right? So it's just such a different experience. So first class, you got to fly first class. And again, I've done enough flying that I just don't see first class being under $1,000, no matter where you go. It seems like no matter where you're going, round trip, first class is always going to be somewhere around $1,200 to $1,500 on the low end, and then as high as $2,000 or $3,000, depending on what you want to spend. But on the low end, we'll say it's $1,500. Almost no matter where you go in the U.S., it's about $1,500. So now when you're talking about two people, you're talking about $3,000 already just for the airline tickets, let alone family of 3 or 4, right? And so now when you look at accommodations, again, we're not looking for the cheapest. We're looking at a nice Airbnb, or we're looking at a nice hotel like a Four Seasons or the Ritz-Carlton, or a nice Hilton, Embassy Suite, something like that. When you start looking at those things, then you'll start seeing that a budget for a travel for 2 people or for 3 or 4 for family, you're probably looking at somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 per trip for a trip of 5 to 7 days. Again, if you're going to travel every quarter, which I do recommend, now you're talking, let's say on the low end, $5,000 every 3 months, 4 times a year. That's $20,000, right? So now we've got, what we say, $5,000 to $7,000 for housing. We're saying about $2,000 a month for food, right? Transportation, we're talking about $1,500 a month to $2,000, maybe more if you got multiple luxury vehicles, right? Now we're talking about $20,000 for the year. If you extrapolate that out, we'll say it's another $15,000, sorry, not 15, about another $1,500, $1,600 per month, right? If you're saving that up to get to that $20,000 for the year, right? For 4 trips for at least 5 to 7 days, right? So now when you see that, you're seeing that we're well over $10,000 per month. And all we did was have a nice place, a couple nice cars, and we go on vacation 4 times a year. And we're already over $10,000 a month. We're probably about $11,000, $12,000 a month right now. Now, we got to put some money away to invest, right? So we need to be putting away $5,000, $10,000 a month on top of that, right? To actually have $100,000 each year to invest at the end of the year. So basically $8,000 a month. Now you can see we're at 11 to 12 with just the living expenses. Now we're putting 8. Now we're at 20. And what we say, we need to be at 20 to 25 to be high income minimum. Right? So you see how these numbers work out? And again, we didn't do anything crazy. Like, we didn't get you a Lamborghini yet. We didn't get you a Rolls Royce. We just put you in a nice neighborhood, luxury neighborhood. We got you a car that's under $100,000, because nowadays you can even go to Chevrolet and get cars over $100,000, right? So we didn't even get you a car over $100,000 yet. And we're already over 10 bands a month. So do you see why I'm saying 2 to 300K is high income? Because to even live the luxury lifestyle, it's going to cost you about $150,000 a year in most major cities, period. You don't have a butler yet. You don't have a cleaning lady yet. You don't have a personal chef yet, right? You haven't even hired your first employee yet, right? You haven't hired a person, and we didn't even talk about the gym, having a gym membership. But granted, most gyms is, $50 a month, right? So you're right, it's not that much. But we didn't talk about having your own personal trainer, right? We didn't talk about having your own personal driver or chauffeur, right? Especially, and not just for luxury, but for business as well, right? Because depends on, like, if you're in sales, which is what I recommend everybody get started with. But if you're in sales and you'll say your commute is 30, 40 minutes each way, that's 30, 40 minutes of work. That's an hour of work that you could be doing. And you start adding that up through the course of a week or a month, and you spending 5, 6, 7 hours a week on the road driving, distracted, right? Because it's really tough to work while you're driving, right? Other than maybe just having a really simple phone call. Then when you hire a driver, and now you get that time back where you can actually be making a call, be focused on your work without the distraction of traffic and driving. Now you can see the leverage in that, right? So we didn't even talk about those things yet. And we're already at 144, 150K a year. And like I said, now you add on saving 5 to 8,000 a month, right? Because 8,000 a month is going to basically put you at 100K. Now you see why you got to be at 20, 25. So that's why I say $250,000 to 300,000 is high income. Because anything less than that, I don't care. And you don't have, again, this is my experience, but you don't have to take my word for it. Go talk to somebody that you know that's making $150,000, $200,000, or $300,000 a year, and ask them if they feel like they're balling outrageous. Especially if they have anything nice. Like if they actually have the luxury lifestyle, they actually got a couple nice cars and a nice apartment, right? And they go out to eat at a nice restaurant. Ask them if they feel like they're balling outrageous. And in fact, I'll give you a homework assignment. If you don't believe me, you have to do a little searching on Google, but there's an article on Google written by this couple making $500,000 a year and saying how it's not that much income. And they broke down their expenses. Granted, you know, their kids in private school, and they had a couple of nannies. I think they had a chef, a butler, and all that stuff, right? But again, with those services, they really didn't feel like they were balling outrageous. And everybody wants to say, oh, well, see, this is lifestyle creep, right? And this is the greed of human beings. But the reality is, if you want nice stuff, it costs. And the real reality of the situation is the 1% lifestyle that most people want, or most people imagine when they talk about flying private and having a Lamborghini, having a Rolls Royce, having a Bentley, taking trips to, you know, Turks and Caicos, flying out to Hawaii, flying out to Greece, right? Spending a week or 2 weeks on vacation 3-4 times a year, staying at the Four Seasons, right? That is a 6-figure a month lifestyle that you're talking about. It's $1.1, $1.2 million a year lifestyle that most people are talking about. Now, most people don't really want what they think that they want or want it that nice. They'll be happy with less. But here's what I've found with the numbers. Still, most people, their real idealistic lifestyle, as far as having a nice house, having the nice cars, actually be able to fly family out with you on vacation, not just you and your immediate, but your extended family or your best friend or your cousin, and you want them to come, and their boyfriend or husband or girlfriend to come with you too, and you want them to stay for a week or two, and you got to cover their living expenses because they gonna be out of work, and they ain't balling like you, so you got to cover the whole bill for them, right? And you want to be able to do all that. You're going to be somewhere around $300,000 to $500,000 a year in expenses as far as lifestyle and all of that. Yeah. If you don't want to be clipping coupons at Starbucks, you're going to be somewhere around $300,000 to $500,000. So that's why I say 250 to 300 is the entry minimum for high income. And it's based on the lifestyle on today's prices. And what's going to happen with today's prices? Are they going to go up? Or are they going to go down? What have they done for the past 50, 60 years? So that's why I say high income is somewhere north of 200 to 300K based on the cost of living a nice luxury lifestyle. So, again, why is it important for you to know the high income? We already discussed it in the last video. Now we talked about what those numbers are. So what's the next step? All right, we know why it's important, Isaac. All right, we get it. You beat it into our head. It's $250,000 to $300,000. What do I do now? Because I'm making $80,000. Or you know what, Isaac, I already make $120,000, $130,000, and you know what, brother? I never saw it that way, but you're absolutely right. You know, I've been wondering why I feel like I'm struggling, why I feel like I don't feel as rich as I thought I should feel, because I'm doing well. I'm making $130K a year. I'm making $150K a year, but I still feel like I don't feel free. I feel trapped. You know, I got 10, 20 grand, but I know how quickly that can go. Or you know what? I thought I was balling and had 40, 50K in the bank, but then my mom got sick, or my dad got sick, or my brother had this, or somebody passed away and we had an unexpected funeral, and that cost 10 grand, and all of a sudden, man, I ran through it just like that. And I'm like, wow, man, that went so quick. And I'm making 120, 130,000 a year. Why does it feel like I'm struggling? That's why, because you're not at high income yet. 100,000 is a new $50,000. If you look at 1980s, you can do the calculations, but if you look at 1980s, 40 years ago, $100,000, and you look at the purchasing power of it today, you would need to have, I think, it's close to 300K for the equivalent. So whatever the purchasing power was of $100,000 40 years ago, you need to be making almost 300K to have that same purchasing power today, in today's economy, when you account for inflation. So triple. So a lot of us, we grew up thinking six figures, which is just $8,000 a month, really 83, 33, repatan, right? But it's really $8,000 a month. That's not that much, y'all. It's $2,000 a week. Now, I get it. If you're only making 50, 60, that might seem like, oh, well, it might be nice to make 8K. But I'm telling you, there's people in the military that make over that. And they're broke and struggling. That's right. There's people in the military that make six figures. There's police officers, especially on the West Coast, working overtime, making $200,000 a year, right? And ask them if they feel like they balling outrageous. And they're killing themselves because they're working overtime to get it. Talk to attorneys, talk to lawyers, right? Talk to doctors. They'll tell you, make 200-300K, it's nice, but you don't necessarily feel free yet, right? It's just, you got enough that you can kind of save some money if you want to. You know, you can, anytime you want, you can reduce your lifestyle a little bit to save a little bit more. But you know, once you make 200-300K a year, you know, you're like, okay, I'm still trapped a little bit. I still am not quite free. I still got to work. You know, I can go on a nicer vacation, live in a nicer house, I drive a nicer car, but I'm still trapped, right? So again, today, we just talking about what is the entry level for high income. We already talked about why it's important, but now we're just giving you the real numbers. So next week, we're going to talk about, okay, what opportunities can we look at to get that high income, right? What opportunities can we look at? And then also, we're just going to look at the different opportunities and explain the pros and cons of each opportunity. Right? Basically, essentially, you got to find something where you have more control over your income. And for most of you, it's not going to be your job. For some of you, it can be your job, right? But then you're going to have to learn the negotiation skills at your job, and you're going to have to understand at least a semi-business perspective of understanding the value of your position relative to the company's profits, how to translate that to your supervisor or to your boss in order to be able to, raise your level of compensation. And then you're going to have to switch from employee mindset, hourly into performance-based. But again, that's next week's topic and discussion. All right. So to cover again, my opinion, my belief, my experience based on today's numbers, 2024 numbers at least, you need to be making north of 250,000 and 300,000 to really be entry level high income based on today's cost of living in any major city. Again, if you live in Cowtown, USA, I would say you can take it down to 150,000, but still, you still got to be well above that $100,000 threshold to really be high income, right? And I would say you got to have high income if you want to live the 1% lifestyle, right? You got to have high income in order to be able to invest, in order to be able to live, above water and enjoy life and enjoy the process along the way. You got to have high income. You got to be north of $250,000 a year. And if you're not, then your sole focus should be, how can I earn that amount of income? Which is going to be next week's topic. But so many of you, I see, you're so focused on trying to invest or doing low money down, and you just simply ain't making enough yet. You're not even qualified to be an accredited investor, which Uncle Sam alone says you have to make over $200,000 for at least 2 years straight, with the expectation that you're going to continue making that income. Or you have to have a minimum $1 million net worth, and you cannot count your personal residence in that net worth. That's what Uncle Sam says that you got to have to be an accredited investor. So you see my high income. Now the government is telling you to be an accredited investor, you have to make over $200,000. So again, there's another proof that my high income numbers is pretty above board. It's pretty realistic. It's pretty reality based, what I'm telling you. All right. So anyways, guys, hopefully that helps you really open your eyes to understand that $8,000 a month is not going to cut it. You need to be north of $25,000 a month, $250,000, $300,000 a year to really be high income. And really you need to be shooting past that, but at least you know that that's where the floor is, because it's a ladder, right, of income, right, and it goes all the way up to over $1 billion a year. And I'm not exaggerating when I say $1 billion a year. Look up hedge fund manager incomes. They literally earn over $1 billion a year, multiple years in a row. It's not exaggeration. It's not at all. It's literal. Billion with the B, as in boy, as in Bezos. Literal billion. Multiple years. Not just 1 year. We sold a company and, you're 10, 20 years. Where I'm talking about literal billions, taxable income, 2, 3, 4 years in a row. Wrap your mind around that. So on the low end, high income starts at $250,000, $300,000, and it goes all the way up to over 10 figures a year. So if you're not at least at the entry level of high income, then really your sole focus should just be, how do I get a high income skill to where I can earn over $250,000, $300,000 a year so I can start playing the money game. That's your only focus should be, that with regards to what you're doing in your financial journey, which most of you spend 40 to 60 hours a week anyways on it, which means that's the majority of your life. You spend your time working for money anyway, so you might as well make sure you make as much as you possibly can, right? So apologize, this video is a little more intense. I'm trying to make it a little more entertaining. I'm trying to make it a little more sexy, learn how, but sometimes I feel like the truth isn't always sexy. It isn't always pretty. And I feel like if you're anything like me, where you have done what you're supposed to be doing in life as far as working, you got your degree, or you went to the military and you're like, hey, I ain't never really done nothing wrong. I worked hard. I applied myself. I've climbed the ranks. I've climbed the ladder, but I still feel stuck. Well, I'm here to help you learn what I've learned and to share what I've learned so that you know how to get to the next level. And high income is one of those things where now you got to know, okay, the target's not, I haven't arrived if I'm making $50,000 a year, or if I'm making $8,000 a month, $100,000 a year, or $102,000 a year before taxes. I haven't arrived. And you never arrive, but you realize like, oh, I'm not at a place where I can, quote unquote, start coasting and taking my foot off the gas. Now you know, okay, well, if I'm making $100,000 a year, I need to be making double, if not triple that, just to get a city at the table. And the government says you need to be making double that to even get an opportunity to invest with sophisticated investment opportunities, right? So next week we're gonna talk about opportunities for high income, what I've learned, what I've experienced, how I did it, and then what you can do, right? Because there's a lot of different ways. There's a million ways to make $1 million, but there's some tried and true methods where the system, there's not really a secret. It's just elbow grease, i.e., you just gotta be consistent, learn a few skills, get to work, and you can make $500,000 within a year, 2 years time if you learn the skills. And these are industries that are not going anywhere. They're here to stay. So, all right, guys, appreciate it if you would subscribe, like, dislike, comment. Let me know if these too long, from too intense, if you even made it to the end of the video, right? But I really would appreciate your feedback because, like I said, I'm committed to doing this every single week for the next year. I was going to say 10 years, but I don't want to put my foot in my mouth just yet. So I'm just saying, I'm going to stick with the original goal. It's the 52 videos this year. This is in the video 3, week 3. So I'm excited to see the next 49 and to share 49 more videos of information, ideally life-changing information. If you take it, you apply it, you let it soak in, and you actually take action on what I'm sharing. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week. Take care.